I'm so honored to be here with TEAMFAST because I remember the day Kenny flew out and he had just joined EXP, and then he had asked me to coach him because we had done expansion a few years back. And then getting on to their leadership call and figuring out what everyone did and said that you guys will make history. There will be no doubt that you guys will make history. And sure enough, a year and a half later, we grew this crazy thing that people doubted us from the very beginning. And it just makes me smile that you guys are all here showing up, ready to tackle this next cycle. And so today I want to give you guys a few models. And I know Elias wants me to talk about visibility, but I always love to give frameworks. I always love to give context to things, because anytime that I evaluate a business, whether we're buying a business, whether we're partnering up with somebody, whether we're looking at a business, at the end of the day, all of you guys run a business. You can, and this is the best business that I think you can get into, because you can make as much money as you want, and you can actually have the freedom if you have the right systems in place. And so there is a lot of talk with this market shift. And what I will say is, who knows what it's going to be? I've been in this industry for over 2 decades. I actually started my career in the Bay Area, in Union City. I was born actually in Oakland and had my first real estate team, one of the very first probably in the Bay Area, all by necessity because I was going to college at the time. And so I saw something today and I thought it resonated really well. And I think I'm going to open it up with this. What we do determines our success and not the market. So I want to give you guys permission to not listen to the noise. Right now, it's all about the activities that you do that will carry you through the cycle. And somebody said, I think it was Nikosi, about foundation is key, right? And I just love when people are hungry. I love it because you can take anybody that's motivated, that's driven, and teach this business like there's nobody's business. And so today I'm going to share my screen, and let me know if you guys could share my screen, because I always want to give you guys framework. Because if you're going to scale a business, I don't care where you're at, whether you're a new agent, yeah. And then if you can't see it really big, go on the speaker view in your top right-hand corner. Cool. So if you are a new agent, or if you're a $50 million producer, this applies to you. And I want you to think about it. And I wish somebody told me about this when I was first starting my business. Whenever you're scaling a business, whenever you're scaling a system, whenever you're scaling a team, it's going to come down to 4 things. And I just want to give you guys real fast framework. First, it's going to be, what do you have you standardize? Standardize in your business today. How do you take listings? How do you show up? How do you show up on social media? How do you do open houses? How do you prospect? Have you standardized it? Because when there is repetition, when there is routine in your business, you can easily tweak it and scale what works and what doesn't work. Second is you've got to optimize it, okay? People leave money on the table. People start to buy leads. People are going to start to buy leads, especially in this next shift. I would say take a look at your business first before you buy leads, because you may be leaving money on the table even during escrow, like if it came down to referrals, or if it's in your lead conversion and you got a leaky bucket, right? So optimize. And then when you have those 2 things, is like, how do we keep growing the business? So this is where we can start to add. I know a lot of you guys are talking about Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, like what do I add and when do I add it? Because you can open up the floodgates for a lot of different things. And when your back end or your systems aren't in place, even if you hired a VA to just take over something, like it will be a hot mess. Agree? And I'm sure some of you guys have done that. So it comes down to growth, and then you can start to scale your business. Okay. So I think this is just good, is let's think about how people decide to work with you today. Again, I've been in this industry for a really long time, and I'm seeing shifts. I have the privilege of coaching some of the top brokerages and teams across the landscape of real estate. So it's not just DXP, it's everything. I'm seeing what's happening behind the scenes because I'm being a consultant for some of these tech companies right now, and I'm seeing what they're doing on the back end, and that's going to come forward. All these products, right? And I see a lot of you guys show up on social media, but I think it's really important of how consumers today choose their agent. One, they're obviously researching, so it's going to come down to brand and personality. People always say they don't care about what you know. They want to care that they do business with whoever they like, know, and trust. And so it's going to come down to brand and personality. And this is why I think social media platforms today are taking off in our industry. Second, it's going to come down to expertise. Some of you guys might be new agents. You guys are on the best team, on the largest team in Northern California. I would leverage the heck out of that. There's a lot of people that you could collaborate with, but it's going to come down to expertise. Yesterday, and then that's when you get hired. So yesterday, Elias and I were talking about some things for Cabo. And I think this is really important. It's like, where do I focus my time and energy in this shift? And so if you think about it, back in the days, people used to interview 3 or 4 realtors before they were selling a house. Today, they're Googling you, but even more so today, I think people are going on your social media. They're trying to figure out what your personality is before they invite you to your home. And what I think is really interesting is that if you ever put your name in Google today, and I just did this not too long ago because we have been talking about this in our mastermind. Before, it used to be Zillow that would come up. And then now it's probably LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok. Why? Because the algorithms to that software, to those companies are driving the results, right? And so when we think about visibility in our business today, what I think is really cool is that you can utilize these platforms to go deep into your database, to go deep into your relationships, to go deep into building connections. A lot of people right now are looking at your Instagram, at your social media platform, and they're deciding maybe it's in December that they're going to sell or buy, maybe it's in October, but they are watching you, even if they're not commenting, even if they're not liking, because your best client is a client that's waiting on the sidelines right now, right? And what I think is really cool is it's taken marketing to a whole new level in our industry. Before it was postcards, then it went to pay-per-click, and then it went to, now it's like, how do we create video content into, capturing an audience? And I was talking about this with my mastermind, is like, it's now time to really think, for those that have been in the business for a really long time, we got lucky these last 3 years or these last 4 years, because you didn't need skills, or you didn't need to really be as organized as you have to be in this next shift. And what I mean by that is you may have to tweak some things. We have actually looked, because we have a network of agents that work for us, and we have tweaked some things in our business today. Let me give you guys some example for those that have production, that have business. We are doing more touches in the escrow process. We used to automate all the emails, all the text messages, but we're actually picking up the phone today. Why? Because there's fear in the market. And when there is fear, right, they get advice from everything else besides you. When you can lower fear, you build trust, right? And you become the expert, and you can guide them through that. So that's one. The other thing that we're doing is we're being very purposeful about pointing things. It's no wonder that some of our agents that work in our network are killing it brand new, right? We are pointing things and to the content that they've already created. 5 reasons you need to know when buying a home in this crazy market, right? Has my value gone down on my home, right? We're really thinking about, what are the consumers thinking about today, and how can we educate them versus them going on Google, because we are the voice in our local market. And what I think is really cool is that everybody has the opportunity to do this with organization every single day, to be the voice of the community, to be the voice of real estate. Because guess what? If I was going to buy a home in Huntington Beach or in the Bay Area, the first thing that I would actually do is probably not go on Google, is probably go on social media. Because we got to think about who's buying homes today. Yes, you have some baby boomers. Yes, you've got some different generations, but a lot of people are actually looking at hashtags and looking at who's producing the most content. Why? Because they feel that they're relevant. It's no longer a computer system, right? And so they're figuring out your personality because of the content that you create. And it is no wonder that for the first time in our industry, we are actually seeing agents get monetized from some of these channels because they're producing content. So I think visibility is a way to open up your store and your business to let the world know that you are still doing real estate. It is a quicker reach than calling every single person. I'm not saying do not call your database, but it's something you can do every day. If all of your clients followed you, and even if they didn't, and if you had strategy behind it all, that they would see your ring at the top if you did a story. They would somehow see your feed, right? It's no wonder that some of these big companies are buying ads today on some of these platforms to steal our clients. So I think if somebody was to ask me, what are some of the things we can do today to prepare ourselves ahead of the curve of whatever is going to happen? And so here's some of the things that I would write down. Number one is all of you guys have a CRM thanks to TEAMFAST, and you guys have a lot of tools. I would figure out how to use some of those tools because some of those tools are extremely powerful. And I know they got Tech Tuesdays or something. So that'd be one, is I would organize my database. Two is I would double down and expand my database, like double the size if you can. Because right now, as we look, and I'm a big believer in data. So I always look at data rather than making emotional decisions so that I can see with my teams that we coach and the people that are in our masterminds that when you have data, you actually can pivot and make these changes before the market catches up. Right. And so what's really cool is that if you doubled your database, a lot of people are saying increase your activity. So if you were used to making 20 calls, you probably should be at 30 or 40. Why? Because you might have more competition with fewer leads. I have an insider at Zillow Flex and some of these tech companies, right? Redfin, they're down 20 to 30% in inquiries. And that's a lot, right? And so they're going to start firing some of the agents that are not getting back. And so I think that number one is organize your database so that you can start to optimize it. Two is expand your database. And then three is I would increase your visibility. I would think of social media as like you opening up your store. If you had a boutique store, a cookie store, or a pizza store, right? Like there is a routine when they open up that store. And when you open up your social media, it is a routine, right? It is not to just scroll. There is there's strategy behind it. And it's just telling the world that you're available for any questions. You're available and you still do real estate. And then the other thing I would do is I would optimize for those that have business today. I would think about how are you guys doing open houses? Are you just showing up? Or do you actually have a model? I decide on Sunday, which is my open house, or I know a house is going on the market on Thursday, but Monday I'm doing a Facebook event and then I'm driving traffic to it, or I'm buying leads, or I'm doing pay-per-click. Tuesday, I'm door knocking, or I'm putting a QR code on my rider. I mean, there is strategy for you to optimize any inventory, or even if you are in a pending contract representing a buyer, because they know that you've already sold something or about to close something in the neighborhood. So how do we extend that runway? How do we double our leads by our listings or what we have currently in escrow? And my last but not least is I would definitely align myself with people in this next market or in this next cycle. And Elias said, you can't grow in isolation. And I would say, I would also find those people that have been through this shift, because the most powerful leaders in this next shift will lead their crew, will lead their teams, regardless of whatever the market does. I'm actually really, really excited for this next shift. I'm down to like embrace it all, because I think there's massive opportunity, and people that can see opportunity in every market will win. And I think you guys are in the best community. So keep showing up, because how you show up, you just never know what could happen when you just keep showing up.